Stop boiling your eggs in water. That's the five-star hotel secret nobody tells you. There's a scene that plays out every single morning in millions of kitchens around the world. Someone puts a pot of water on the stove, drops in a couple of eggs, waits 10 minutes, pulls them out, cracks them against the counter, and the battle begins. Shell fragments stuck to the egg white. A deformed, chunked-up mess. Stained fingers. A frustration you probably know by heart. If that sounds familiar, stay with me. Because today on the Wonder Lab, we're literally taking apart the mystery behind why your boiled egg almost never peels clean, and why this problem simply doesn't exist in five-star hotel kitchens. Welcome to the Wonder Lab, where we bring real science into the kitchen and turn every dish into a small experiment. Today we're kicking off a special series on kitchen tricks that science actually backs up, and this first episode is about one of the simplest, most misunderstood foods in culinary history, the boiled egg. To understand why peeling it goes wrong, we first need to talk about what's actually happening inside that shell when you drop it into boiling water. An egg isn't one solid, uniform object. It's a layered biological system. There's the porous shell, two thin membranes stuck to that shell. The egg white, made mostly of proteins like ovalbumin. And the yolk, rich in a completely different mix of fats and proteins. When heat hits all at once, like when you drop an egg straight into boiling water, the proteins in the white start coagulating from the outside in, fast and unevenly. That unevenness is the first cause of your peeling problems. But there's a second factor that matters even more, the egg's acidity, its pH. A freshly laid egg has a relatively low pH, close to neutral, which makes the white stick tightly to the shell's inner membrane. As days pass, the egg gradually loses carbon dioxide through the shell's pores, and that process raises the internal pH, making it more alkaline. Once the white becomes more alkaline, its bond with the membrane loosens. And that, far more than any cold water or hot water trick, is what actually determines whether an egg peels easily or not. That's exactly why professional cooks almost never boil same-day eggs. They prefer eggs that have spent at least 7 to 10 days in the fridge, because by then they've already lost enough carbon dioxide to loosen up their internal structure. Now here's where the secret used by top hotels and restaurants for over a century comes in. In the late 1800s, French chef Auguste Escoffier, widely considered the father of modern cuisine, and the man responsible for standardizing hotel kitchens like the Ritz in Paris and the Savoy in London, pushed a principle that's still followed in every well-run professional kitchen today: precision and absolute control over heat. Escoffier understood that boiling a delicate food directly in water is one of the least controlled ways to cook it, because boiling water hits the shell with a thermal shock that can crack it, letting water seep in and making the white stick even more to the now damaged membrane. The alternative that dominates hotel kitchens is steaming the egg instead of submerging it in water. It sounds like a small change, but the physical difference is enormous. Steam transfers heat far more evenly than boiling liquid water, because it surrounds the shell completely without the turbulent motion of boiling water, which knocks eggs against the pot walls and against each other, creating microfractures that later turn into full breaks when you try to peel. Steaming for roughly the same time boiling would take, generally 10 to 13 minutes, depending on how you like your yolk, produces a more evenly cooked white and avoids shell damage in the first place. Step 2, and this is the part almost nobody does at home, is a controlled thermal shock right after cooking. Hotels pull the eggs straight from the steamer and plunge them immediately into an ice water bath for at least 5 minutes. This isn't just so you can handle them without burning your fingers. What's actually happening physically is that the white contracts rapidly as it cools, and that contraction pulls it slightly away from the shell's inner membrane, creating a thin cushion of air between the egg and its shell. That tiny gap is exactly what lets the shell come off in large pieces instead of shattering into 1,000 tiny fragments stuck to the surface of the white. If you want to take this technique even further, the way some high-end kitchens do, you can add a teaspoon of baking soda to the ice bath water, or even to the cooking water if you're boiling instead of steaming. Baking soda artificially raises the water's pH and helps compensate when you're working with very fresh eggs that haven't had time to naturally lose their acidity yet. One more complementary trick: poke a tiny hole with a pin into the wider end of the egg before cooking, right where the natural air pocket sits. This releases pressure during cooking and lowers the risk of the shell cracking from trapped, expanding hot air. Before we go further, if this kind of detail is blowing your mind the way it did ours when we first found it, this is the perfect moment to subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and tell us in the comments what other food you want us to break down with this same level of detail. We read every comment here at the Wonder Lab, and a lot of this series' upcoming topics come directly from your suggestions. Now, the final twist in this story. The real secret almost nobody tells you is that no water trick, not steaming, not baking soda, not the ice bath, can fully compensate for an egg that's simply too fresh. Egg age remains the single, most decisive variable of all. So the next time you're served a perfectly peeled egg at a hotel breakfast buffet, what you're actually looking at isn't magic or some impossible-to-replicate secret technique. It's the combination of inventory management that guarantees eggs have rested for at least a week, thermometer-controlled steaming, and a precise ice water shock right after. 3 variables, not one, working together. Next time you're buying eggs to boil, grab the ones that have already spent several days in the supermarket fridge instead of always reaching for the freshest date. Steam them if you can, and don't skip the ice bath out of laziness. Those 5 minutes are literally the difference between a frustrating breakfast and a restaurant-worthy one. This video is just the first episode of a series we've put together with a lot of care here at the Wonder Lab on kitchen tricks that science genuinely backs up. In the next episode, we're tackling another everyday kitchen classic that hides a fascinating chemical explanation. Why does cutting a simple onion make you cry like you're watching the saddest movie ever made? And what's the exact method professional chefs use to avoid it almost entirely? And in episode 3, we're talking about rice, and a mistake almost everyone makes when rinsing it before cooking. A mistake that affects texture and possibly your long-term health too. If you enjoyed discovering the science behind something as everyday as a boiled egg, don't miss the next 2 parts of this series. They're designed to build on each other. Every episode adds one more piece to the puzzle of why we cook the way we do, and how we can do it better using science we've actually known for decades. Subscribe to the Wonder Lab so you don't miss a single episode. Share this with the person in your house who still fights with eggshells every morning. And let us know in the comments which of the 3 upcoming topics you're most curious about. See you in the next experiment.